It's time.
Welcome. Thank you for joining me on the Front Office Podcast again. I am Pistols, your host. We are moving right along with our division series that we've been kind of breaking down the division and what it means for fantasy. Today, we are breaking down the AFC West. This division, in my opinion, is the most interesting division that there is. The Chiefs' kingdom has fallen. The Broncos rose to the occasion. The Raiders are the up-and-coming team, and the Chargers are still just kind of hanging around. But as far as the AFC West goes, it has been primarily, driven by the Kansas City Chiefs. They make it to the playoffs every year. They've won 3 Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes and company under Andy Reid. But it's one of the most competitive divisions, but this year it's the most interesting one with a lot of new faces, especially with the new head coach for the Raiders, Clint Kubiak. They have the number 1 overall pick. They're most likely going Mendoza, so we'll see what that looks like. But the first team that I want to go over is exactly that, the Kansas City Chiefs. Hot take, Chiefs Kingdom has fallen. We saw a subtle decline in recent seasons, and we really saw a decline last year, of course, with the Patrick Mahomes injury. That didn't help at all. For the first time since Patrick Mahomes has taken over as quarterback, I think they missed the playoffs. So, it's not the end of the world for the Chiefs. Of course, I like to make fun of Chiefs fans and the kingdom and blah, blah, blah. But we obviously know that they're a very good team. And if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. Last year, Seattle did that, win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs didn't even make the playoffs. So, it's just a different looking, offense this year. Couple big things for the Chiefs, though. They lose Hollywood Brown in free agency. He goes over to the Eagles to join them. Waiting to see what happens with A.J. Brown there, but they have a pretty elite receiving core as is. But the Chiefs bring in Justin Fields. They make the trade over from the New York Jets. I'm assuming as a placeholder. Patrick Mahomes got hurt late in the season, middle of December or something like that. So, with the recovery timeline for an ACL, LCL injury, he's probably missing some time, if not the first month, if not the first 2 months, at least. Justin Fields is a guy that can come in and win some games. They have an offense Andy Reid can work with. A player like Justin Fields, he does have a big arm. We saw him kind of struggle in Chicago. We saw him struggle in New York with the Jets. He got benched for Tyrod Taylor. So we'll see how much Andy Reid really has an impact on Justin Fields. But the biggest thing is like I said, the Chiefs Kingdom, the dynasty, it's on the decline. Now, Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. We know that they've had great teams in the past. They won Super Bowls with Tyreek Hill, and then Tyreek Hill goes to Miami, and they win another Super Bowl without him. So, Patrick Mahomes makes those guys better. But the biggest signing that the Chiefs had is Kenneth Walker. They bring Kenneth Walker in to be their every down back. Now, I know they've had Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt as kind of that 1-2 combo that they had. Isaiah Pacheco kind of carrying the ball, and then, on downs 1 and 2, and then Hunt coming in for third down and the passing downs. He was a better pass catcher out of the backfield. Now, Kenneth Walker brings another dimension to the Chiefs offense, and in my opinion, with a team that is an elite offense, when they bring in a high talented running back, the running back ceiling is just through the roof. His fantasy production can really take the next level leap that it needs to. Fantasy managers should be salivating at the fact that Kenneth Walker is now a Kansas City Chief. We saw him win Super Bowl MVP, the 135-yard performance. And that's not going to stop. The Chiefs primarily They have a very good balanced offense of run to pass. They like to get their workhorse running back involved. Now they haven't really had a true workhorse running back in Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. They're not guys that could really carry a full load. Um, but Kenneth Walker is that guy. So he comes in and he joins, Xavier Worthy and Rashi Rice. And Travis Kelce signs for one more year to extend his career another season. Um, we saw a massive decline in Travis Kelce's gameplay, not only while Patrick Mahomes was there, but especially after he went out with the injury. We saw a pretty big decline in tight ends overall. Um, but as far as the Chiefs go, they're going to be just fine. But I will sit here. I will tell you that their dynasty is crumbling beneath them unless they figure it out. And like I said, with no Patrick Mahomes, they're going to have a tough time in the beginning of the season to get some wins. But if Justin Fields can come in and get a couple wins for them when Mahomes comes back and is ready to play again, they're going to be just fine. But as far as your fantasy implications, there's nobody really first round worthy on that team. You're looking second, third, fourth round for guys like Rashi Rice, Xavier Worthy, Kenneth Walker. But if you're like me and like to go running back heavy, I'm very happy getting Kenneth Walker as my running back 2. Somewhere in the second round, maybe early third round, depending on where my draft position ends up being. But the Chiefs overall, we saw some big changes on defense, so that's going to be concerning for Chiefs fans and the Chiefs team as a whole. They saw Trent McDuffie go to the Rams in a trade. They saw Jalen Watson, their other cornerback, walk in free agency and also go to the Rams. It's just a different dynamic there in Kansas City, but their offense is still elite until I see otherwise. One bad season doesn't necessarily mean that everything's over, but in my mind, well, unless they can really turn it around again, which they have the absolute capability to do, we will see the Chiefs be on top again. But moving on to the little brother that's just you don't really want around, the Chargers. The Chargers are interesting to me. There's not really much to talk about here. They're just the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh still the head coach. They re-signed Trey Lance. Doesn't matter. They have Justin Herbert, who has a big arm. And they're looking to make sure that Quentin Johnson takes another step forward. Now, can the Chargers unlock Justin Herbert again and kind of let him do his thing? They beefed up the offensive line a ton. They added Alec Ingold as their fullback to add extra protection for Justin Herbert. As long as he can stay upright and he has the ability to run, a big, tall statue of a receiver or of a quarterback. And Justin Herbert is just one of those guys that he's going to get you the ball. We saw Keenan Allen do very, very well there. Quentin Johnson is their number 1 guy again, and we saw Omari and Hampton get drafted there. Had a very good season until his injury kind of snuck up on him as well. As far as fantasy implications, again, no first round talent here. You're maybe looking at second, third, fourth, fifth round talent when it come draft season. If you're looking at any of the Chargers players. Omari Hampton is a very good running back. They're probably going to use him early and often. He's a very good third down, a 3-down back. He's a big running back, runs north and south. Good vision on the field. I'm very happy with him as maybe a running back 2 in depending on where I draft again. But really the Chargers are just kind of, like I said, they're like the little brother that just hangs around and they're always there. They're competitive. It's a competitive division. They're always going to be competing with the best of the best, especially when you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes, who, year after year we see have won that division. Um, but moving on to the new sheriff in town, my opinion, the Denver Broncos. Now, the Denver Broncos made a pretty big trade. In my opinion, it's a pretty big trade because it brings in another offensive weapon for Bo Nix. Bo Nix is going into year 3. He's a good quarterback. We saw him have a great rookie year. A little bit of a downtick in the sophomore slump there, but they end up making it to the AFC Championship and ultimately lost to the Patriots there to move on to the Super Bowl. We saw Bo Nix get hurt in the game against the Bills. Well, maybe we didn't see it, but we heard about it afterwards, and they almost took Jarrett Stidham to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. With Sean Payton's a great coach, he's a great quarterbacks coach. We saw what he did in New Orleans for many years with Drew Brees, and I expect another big leap from Bo Nix. But the trade that happened is they brought in Jalen Waddle from the Miami Dolphins. They gave up a first round pick, fourth round pick, and a fifth round pick or something, or a third. Miami Dolphins, fourth round pick, and Jalen Waddle for a first round pick, a third round pick, and the fourth round pick. So the Dolphins are in full rebuild mode. They got rid of their last remaining piece outside of Devin Achane. We see Jalen Waddle now on the Broncos. That gives Cortland Sutton some pressure off of his shoulders to be the best. Jalen Waddle just brings more speed to the Denver offense. They already have Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, guys like that, who did very, very well for them. They bring back J.K. Dobbins on a free agent deal. Before they let him walk, they re-sign him. And they have R.J. Harvey, who they drafted last year, who played very well in J.K. Dobbins' absence. Kind of took over the starting role a little bit there in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, and then in the playoffs, it was kind of a mix of both. Now, with the Broncos, draft implications, when you're looking to draft guys like Cortland Sutton or Jalen Waddle, I know we have to be wary of Jalen Waddle's injury history. He has spent some time on the sidelines in Miami, and it's unfortunate because now he just carries that rap wherever he goes. But Jalen Waddle is a very, very good receiver. He's fast, he's quick, he has very good route running abilities. The radius that he has, he can catch the ball, he can high point it, he can, he's just as good as any of those guys that can take a slant to the house. But again, it's just if he's on the field, they're going to be a very dangerous offense. Bo Nix is no slouch. Like I said, we saw a little bit of a sophomore slump. I'm very happy with Cortland Sutton as my wide receiver 1. I actually had him as my wide receiver 1 last season on some of my teams, and I ended up winning 2 championships with him in my lineup. So that that makes me believe that bringing in Jalen Waddle is only going to elevate his game. It's going to elevate Bo Nix's game. The running game is going to be, nothing to mess with. But it's all about how you are perceived on the field. And what I mean by that is everything looks great on paper, right? But when you're lining up as a defense and you're seeing Cortland Sutton and you're seeing Jalen Waddle and you're seeing J.K. Dobbins or R.J. Harvey and then Bo Nix is snapping the ball, it makes a defense play a little differently than if you only saw maybe one superstar receiver with no running backs and a quarterback, right? Then you don't have to double that guy. Now they have to account for a lot more players on the field because the Broncos like to run multiple wide receiver sets. We're seeing 3-4 wide receivers on the field at any given moment, and any one of those guys has the ability to break free and take one to the house. We saw a lot of deep passes. Marvin Mims is very good at getting behind defenses. We saw a lot of deep passes from Bo Nix to those guys, and adding Jalen Waddle to the mix is we're just going to see more of it. So the new sheriff in town, the Denver Broncos, they won the division last year. They won the 1 seed in the AFC. They had the bye week going into the playoffs. I expect them to maintain their maintain their dominance over the division for years to come, especially when they have those guys. Um, it's a good looking offense, and we really saw what they can do um, with Bo Nix and those guys out there. Now, the up and coming team, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are interesting because they hold the number one pick. We've seen the Raiders not play very well. They had Geno. They took Pete Carroll took over. They had Geno Smith. He brought back. They brought him over from Seattle. Decent season the year before. Last year was not a good season at all, especially for Brock Bowers. But with that number one overall pick, I mean, the quarterback class of this year is not the greatest class you've ever seen outside of Fernando Mendoza. We're really looking at nobody else. So with the number one overall pick, I expect them to take Mendoza, and he's an NFL ready quarterback. Just won a national championship with Indiana. He's going to be the first pick, and the Raiders are going to have their franchise quarterback for many years. Now Clint Kubiak is their head coach now. He was the offensive coordinator in Seattle. Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl, so turning Sam Darnold into what he is. I don't think Mendoza is going to have any trouble fitting in the league. I think they have all the pieces that they need. They still have Trey Tucker, speedy little receiver on the outside. Had some really good games for them. They have Brock Bowers, as I mentioned. Ashton Genty came in last season, had a decent season for a rookie. Thought he might have had a chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but ultimately that went to Tet McMillan over in Carolina, and of course we'll get to them when we talk NFC South in a couple weeks. So with that being said, I'm always weary on drafting rookie quarterbacks, especially if you're not in a dynasty league. Unless you're in a dynasty league, draft a rookie quarterback all day long because you're going to need quarterbacks always. But in non-dynasty leagues, Mendoza might be a chance to just take a guy if it's a keeper league, take him late, stash him for the entire season. Maybe he shows you something early that he could be a viable starter. But I've always been the guy that doesn't really take chances on rookies until I see what they're able to do. Now Ashton Genty had a pretty decent season for a rookie at over 1,000 yards, I believe. But he's a great pass catcher as well. So they have a dual threat running back there in him. Now they're probably going to go wide receiver with the rest of their picks in the draft to kind of build a young team around Mendoza. But my biggest concern is Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers should absolutely be drafted in every single league as early as you can get him. And here's why. Because when rookie quarterbacks come into the league, they need to get into a comfortable state. The NFL is a much faster paced game than it is in college. These guys are bigger on the NFL field than they are in the college fields. We're talking guys that are, maybe 220, 230, pushing off the end, coming to get you. Now we're guys in the NFL that are pushing 300 coming to get you. But that safety valve is a quarterback's best friend, and that is the tight end position. And I expect Brock Bowers to be targeted early and often, just to be that outlet for Mendoza to help build up that confidence that he's going to need. We're probably going to see some mistakes. He's a rookie quarterback coming into the league. He's playing on the Raiders. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying draft Brock Bowers in the first round or the second round. Third, fourth round is probably where you're going to get him if somebody doesn't reach for him. But the rookie quarterback aspect coming in there might steer people kind of away from him. I think Brock Bowers is going to have a fantastic year. He's probably going to finish in the top 5 of tight ends again. Unfortunately, last year, the injury history kind of derailed his season. He had some good games when he was there. But the biggest thing, too, is they brought in Tyler Linderbaum from Baltimore. He is a veteran center, one of the best centers in the league, uh, and a rookie quarterback really can't ask for much more than that. With that guy who's going to be snapping him the ball, he's going to bring confidence immediately into the young fella. Uh, Linderbaum is one of those guys that played. He just plays at a high level, and having a guy like that under center or B or center, and then having Mendoza taking snaps from him helps build confidence in a young quarterback, in my opinion. Now, they also brought in Jalen Naylor from Minnesota, who had a pretty decent season. He had some really good games, some flashes of excellence uh, over there in Minnesota. So they're really surrounding Fernando Mendoza with young, talented players that they can grow this team with. And as we know, consistency is going to be key in these situations. Um, when you're consistent and you're building a team from scratch, basically, um, that's that's what's going to help grow the fantasy production throughout the years. Yeah, I mean, we're not looking at trailblazing numbers right off the bat, but I do expect Brock Bowers to get that safety valve role for Mendoza early. Uh, I expect them to have Ashton Genty be that kind of solid foundation for Mendoza and that offense. And Clint Kubiak's going to come in and turn this team around. So we're looking at one of the more competitive divisions, one of the most interesting divisions. And it makes it interesting because the Chiefs have been dominant for so many years. Now the Broncos come in, win the 1 seed. Chiefs don't even make the playoffs. The Raiders they were in rebuild mode. Usually you would think takes about 3 to 4 years to fully rebuild, but they're trying to do it in just 2. So we're gonna see a full rebuild there, and this division is gonna get nutty. It's gonna be a very competitive one, um, as like all the other divisions are. Unlike AFC North is a bunch of pretenders that guys are just there, and now we have the AFC West here, who are not they're not pretenders. They're definitely contenders, and at any given Sunday, any one of these teams can just blow you out of the water. And I know that we're speculating in March here, but for the most part, we will see some guys come in and new players and see what the division outlook is going to look like come draft season. Now, as far as fantasy goes, there's not too many draft day adjustments that you have to make. These are all guys that are typical, second, third, fourth, fifth round guys. But the opportunities are there for all these players. And that's what we look at is we look at the opportunity for these players. We look at who's going to get the ball. What are they going to do with the ball? Where are they on the field? Are they on the field in the red zone? Are they just a one trick pony, maybe a deep guy? But for the most part, the most interesting division in the league is the AFC West. The Chiefs dynasty has fallen, and you can quote me on it, and I'd love to hear the comments. But I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for joining me on the Front Office Podcast. I am your host, Pistols. You can find me every Sunday and every Tuesday live on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's over at Twitch at Pistols Live HQ. On YouTube, the videos get uploaded a couple days later. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you'll see live episodes. And we pretty much just upload videos every day. We talk about fantasy football because I know we're kind of in that period of when's football coming back. I know we have basketball and March Madness and hockey playoffs and basketball playoffs. Baseball starting, I believe, in a couple days. By the time this video comes out, I believe it starts on Wednesday. But you can only take so many baseball games, and once hockey season and basketball season are over, there's really nothing else to watch but baseball. So I try to bring back some of the football talk here as we gear up for the 2026-2027 season. Next episode, we are going to go over the NFC West. So we'll talk about those teams: Seattle, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Cardinals, and what they've done in the offseason, and go over their draft day for your fantasy league adjustments and who's worthy of drafting over there. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.